My boyfriend told me to reject a $120,000 promotion because it would make him look bad. He said I need to decline the job and take a receptionist position instead. So I demoted him as an ex. Ryan and I had been together for 2 years. I worked at a pharmaceutical company as a research coordinator making $70,000 a year. He worked at his dad's plumbing supply company as a sales manager making $50,000. He always said money didn't matter, that we were a team. I believed him. Last month, my boss called me into her office. She offered me the director of clinical trials position. $120,000 salary, company car, 4 weeks vacation, stock options. I'd worked 60-hour weeks for 5 years to earn this. Stayed late reading protocols, took weekend certification courses, flew to conferences on my own dime to network. When I told Ryan that night, his face changed. Not happy, not proud, something else. He said we should think about it carefully. I asked what there was to think about. He said a promotion like that came with a lot of stress and longer hours, that I was already tired from my current job, that maybe I should focus on our relationship instead of my career. I thought he was concerned about me burning out, but then he started listing other problems. His mom wouldn't understand why I made more than him. His brother would make jokes at Sunday dinners. His friends would think he was less of a man. He actually used those words, less of a man. He said I should consider how my success would affect his reputation. I told him his reputation wasn't my responsibility. That's when he got mean. He said I was being selfish, that relationships required sacrifice, that his ex-girlfriend understood the importance of letting the man be the provider. He brought up his ex-girlfriend who worked part-time at a flower shop, the one he always said was boring and had no ambition. Suddenly, she was the ideal partner. For a week, he sulked. Wouldn't celebrate with me, wouldn't tell anyone about my promotion. When my parents called to congratulate me, he left the room. When my sister sent champagne, he said it was excessive. He started forwarding me articles about women who regretted prioritizing careers over family. Stories about successful women who ended up alone. Statistics about divorce rates when wives earned more. He bookmarked a blog post called How to Be a Supportive Partner Without Losing Yourself, and left it open on my laptop. The post was about women stepping back to let their men shine. Then came the ultimatum. 3 days before I had to give my answer, Ryan sat me down. He said he'd been thinking and realized this promotion would destroy us. If I took it, he'd always feel inferior. His family would judge him. His coworkers would laugh behind his back. He needed me to decline. For us. For our future. He'd even called his dad's friend who owned a dental office. Got me an interview for a receptionist position. $35,000 a year but regular hours and no stress. Perfect for when we had kids. Kids we'd never discussed. I said absolutely not. He said I was choosing money over love. That I was materialistic and power hungry. That no man would want a woman who needed to be the boss. That his mother warned him I was too ambitious. His mother who hadn't worked a day in her life and spent her husband's money on designer bags. I packed my things that night while he was at his buddy's house. Took everything that was mine, which turned out to be most of the apartment since I'd paid for the furniture, the TV, the kitchen appliances. Left him with his gaming chair and the mattress he'd brought from his mom's house. He came home to an empty apartment and called me screaming. Said I was vindictive and crazy. That I'd regret this when I was 40 and alone. That no one would want a woman who put career first. I hung up and blocked his number. But he wasn't done. My phone started ringing the next morning from a number I didn't recognize. I ignored it. Then another call came from a different number. And another. By the end of the day, I had 7 missed calls from 7 different numbers. The voicemails started coming in. The first one had Ryan crying, saying he was sorry and he just needed to talk to me. The second one called me selfish and said I was throwing away 2 years for money. The third one apologized again and begged me to call him back. The fourth one said I was being childish and immature. They kept alternating like that, back and forth between sorry and angry. Camilla called me that night to check in, and I told her about the voicemails. She said to save every single one of them and not delete anything. She said I might need proof later if things got worse. I didn't want to think about things getting worse, but I saved them anyway. Listening to his voice made my stomach hurt and twist up inside. 3 days after I moved out, I was unpacking boxes in my new apartment when the building phone rang. The security guard downstairs told me someone named Ryan was here to see me. My heart started beating fast. I asked how he even knew my address since I'd been careful not to tell him where I was moving. The guard said he didn't know, but should he send him up? I said absolutely not and that Ryan wasn't allowed on the property ever. The guard said he'd make a note of it and escort him out. I stood there shaking for like 10 minutes after I hung up. That same afternoon, my mom called me sounding upset. She said Ryan's mother had just called her crying about how I broke her son's heart. Ryan's mom told my mom I ruined his life by being too ambitious and caring more about my career than our relationship. She said Ryan was so sad he could barely get out of bed. My mom said she told her that Ryan broke his own relationship by trying to control my career and make me turn down a promotion I earned. Then my mom warned me that this might get worse before it got better. She said Ryan's family was clearly in denial about his behavior, and they might keep trying to make me the bad guy. I felt tired just thinking about dealing with his whole family on top of everything else. Monday morning came and I started my first day as director of clinical trials. I felt excited and exhausted at the same time from all the Ryan drama over the weekend. My new office was on the 4th floor with big windows that looked out over the city. I spent my lunch break just sitting in my chair and staring at the view. This was what I worked for. 60-hour weeks for 5 years, weekend classes, conferences I paid for myself. I earned this office and this job, and I felt proud sitting there. Around 2 o'clock, another director stopped by my office and knocked on the open door. He introduced himself as Duncan Steele and said he started about 3 months ago. He offered to give me advice about how to deal with company politics and who to watch out for. He was friendly but not weird about me being a woman in leadership, which felt really nice after dealing with Ryan's insecurity for so long. Duncan told me about the different department heads and which ones were helpful versus which ones just liked to create problems. We talked for maybe 20 minutes and then he headed back to his own office. The next morning, I checked my work email and found a message from an address I didn't recognize. The email said I stole money from Ryan and destroyed his property when I moved out. It said I was a thief and a liar and people should know what kind of person I really was. My hands were shaking as I read it. I forwarded it immediately to Lorelei Kerr in HR with a message explaining that Ryan was my ex-boyfriend who told me to turn down my promotion. I said he'd been calling me from different numbers and showed up at my apartment building. I wanted HR to know in case he tried to contact the company again. Lorelei called me within an hour and asked me to come to her office. She took the situation really seriously and started writing down everything I told her. She said the company had dealt with situations before where someone's personal life affected their work safety. She asked me detailed questions about when Ryan and I broke up and what he'd been doing since then. Then she asked if I felt safe and I realized I wasn't actually sure anymore. I told her I didn't think Ryan would hurt me physically, but I didn't know what else he might do. She made notes about everything and said she'd flag my name with building security so they'd know to watch for him. That weekend, Ryan posted on social media about gold diggers who leave their partners the second they get a little success. He didn't use my name, but he tagged a bunch of our mutual friends in the post. I didn't respond or react to it at all, but several friends started texting me asking what happened between us. Some of them seemed genuinely concerned and others seemed like they just wanted gossip. I didn't reply to most of them because I was too tired to explain the whole story over and over. Sunday afternoon, I met up with Camilla at a coffee shop near my apartment. I told her everything about the calls from different numbers, Ryan showing up at my building, his mom calling my mom, and now the fake email to my work. Camilla got really mad on my behalf. She said Ryan was escalating his behavior and I needed to document everything carefully. She insisted I should think about getting a lawyer or filing some kind of legal complaint before this got any worse. I felt overwhelmed by the idea of lawyers and legal action. I just wanted him to leave me alone, so I could focus on my new job. Monday morning arrived and I had my first staff meeting with my new team. 12 research coordinators now reported directly to me. I stood at the front of the conference room going over our current trials and upcoming deadlines. It felt weird and kind of unreal to be the one leading the meeting instead of sitting in the audience. About halfway through, I caught myself wondering if Ryan was right that I couldn't handle the pressure of this position. Then I shut that thought down hard and kept talking about protocol timelines. These people were counting on me to lead them, and I wasn't going to let Ryan's voice in my head make me doubt myself. After the meeting, 3 of the coordinators stayed behind to ask questions about their specific projects. I answered each one and felt my confidence coming back with every response. I knew this work inside and out. I earned this promotion through actual skill and hard work, not luck or connections. Ryan's opinion about what I could or couldn't handle didn't matter anymore. He wasn't my problem to manage or my ego to protect. I had a whole team depending on me now and real responsibilities that mattered way more than his hurt feelings about making less money than me. Tuesday afternoon, I got a Facebook message from Ryan's brother Mark. He said I embarrassed their whole family and Ryan was crushed because of me. He wrote that I acted like I was better than everyone, and Ryan deserved someone who appreciated him. I took a screenshot of the entire message and saved it to the folder on my computer where I was keeping everything Ryan related. Then I blocked Mark on every platform I could think of. I didn't respond because there was nothing to say to someone who thought Ryan's behavior was my fault. 2 weeks into my new role, I was managing 3 major clinical trials at once. Trial A was testing a new diabetes medication, and we had 200 patients enrolled across 15 sites. Trial B focused on autoimmune disorders with 90 patients at 8 locations. Trial C was our biggest project, a cardiovascular study with 350 patients at 20 sites nationwide. I created tracking systems for each trial using color-coded spreadsheets that showed enrollment numbers, adverse events, protocol deviations, and site performance metrics. During my weekly check-in with my boss, she pulled up my organizational dashboard on her computer and spent 5 minutes just looking at it. She told me the system was exactly what the department needed and asked if I could train the other coordinators to use similar methods. I felt this rush of pride that had nothing to do with Ryan or proving him wrong. This was just me being good at my job because I worked hard and knew what I was doing. My confidence started coming back in small moments like that, when I remembered I earned this position through actual skill. Friday night around 2 in the morning, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I was half asleep and answered without thinking. Ryan's voice came through rambling about how I never appreciated everything he did for me. He said he supported my career and helped me get where I was today. He claimed he always encouraged me to work hard and go after promotions. The total rewrite of history was shocking, but the timing worried me more. Why was he calling at 2 in the morning? Was he drunk or just unable to sleep because he was thinking about me? I hung up and blocked that number too, but I couldn't fall back asleep. The next week, I went to the phone store and changed my number completely. I only gave the new number to my parents, my sister, and Camilla. For 3 days, my phone stayed quiet and it felt like relief. No unknown numbers calling, no voicemails from Ryan, no messages from his family members. I started to think maybe he was finally done. Thursday morning, Lorelai from HR called my desk phone and asked me to come to her office. Her voice sounded serious and professional in a way that made my stomach hurt. When I got there, she closed the door behind me and said someone had contacted the company's general information line. They claimed I was involved in research fraud and patient endangerment. They said I falsified data in clinical trials and put people's lives at risk. The accusations were completely made up, but Lorelai explained that HR had to investigate any ethics complaints about employees. She needed me to know this was happening and that it was being taken seriously. I felt my face get hot and my hands started shaking. I told Lorelai this was Ryan, my ex-boyfriend who tried to make me turn down my promotion. She nodded and said she remembered our previous conversation about him. An hour later, I was sitting in the HR conference room across from Lorelai while she asked me questions from a form. Did I have access to trial data? Yes. Did I ever modify data without proper authorization? No. Had I ever compromised patient safety? Absolutely not. She clearly didn't believe the accusations, but she had to write down my answers and document everything. I could see in her face that she was just doing her job, and this was all procedure. I explained about Ryan's harassment campaign and how it had been getting worse. I opened my phone and showed her screenshots of messages from him and his brother. I pulled up my documentation folder and printed copies of everything with dates and times. Lorelai took notes on all of it and added the papers to a file with my name on it. My boss got called into a meeting with HR that afternoon. Lorelai needed her to verify my work quality and confirm I followed all ethical standards. My boss came to my office afterward and told me she gave a strong statement about my professional conduct. She said my work was always thorough and by the book. But I could see the concern in her eyes about all this drama following me into my new position. She asked if I was okay, and if there was anything the company could do to help. I said I was handling it, but I appreciated her support. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling until almost 3 in the morning. I kept thinking about how Ryan's lies could actually cost me the job I spent 5 years working toward. Everything I built could fall apart because my ex-boyfriend was mad that I made more money than him. Around 11, Camilla showed up at my apartment with 2 bottles of wine and takeout food. She made me eat something and then poured us both big glasses of wine. She reminded me that the truth would come out and my work record spoke for itself. She said I had documentation of everything, and HR would see through Ryan's fake complaint. The HR investigation took 4 days total. During that whole time, I felt like everyone at work knew what was happening and was judging me. I imagined people whispering about me in the break room or wondering if the accusations were true. Every time someone looked at me, I thought they were thinking about the investigation. Duncan noticed I seemed stressed during a department meeting and caught me afterward in the hallway. He asked if I wanted to grab coffee, and I said yes, because I needed to talk to someone who understood workplace politics. We went to the coffee shop on the first floor, and I ended up telling him everything over lattes. I explained about Ryan opposing my promotion, the breakup, the harassment, and now the fake ethics complaint. Duncan listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he told me his ex-wife tried to sabotage his career during their divorce. She contacted his former employer claiming he stole proprietary information and violated his employment contract. None of it was true, but he had to go through a whole investigation that lasted 3 weeks. He said he survived it and rebuilt his reputation. He warned me that people like Ryan count on their targets being too embarrassed to fight back. They think if they make enough noise and cause enough trouble, you'll just give up and go away. He told me the best thing I could do was document everything, cooperate fully with HR, and keep doing excellent work. The next morning, Lorelai called me into her office with a closed folder in her hands. She sat down across from me and opened it, showing me the investigation summary she'd typed up. The complaint was officially determined to be malicious and unfounded with no basis in fact. She'd noted the timing correlation with my recent breakup and Ryan's documented harassment pattern. She closed the folder and looked at me directly. She suggested I might want to consult an attorney about Ryan's behavior because this pattern of workplace interference combined with the other contact was concerning. I thanked her for handling everything professionally and walked back to my office feeling both relieved and worried. The investigation was over, but Ryan clearly wasn't stopping. I called Camilla during my lunch break and told her what Lorelai said about getting an attorney. She immediately started searching on her phone for harassment lawyers in our area. She found Courtney Mahoney, who specialized in stalking and harassment cases with strong reviews from other women who dealt with ex-partners. The consultation fee was $200 and the retainer was $3,000 if I decided to hire her. I felt my stomach drop at the cost, but Camilla cut me off before I could say anything. She told me she'd lend me the money if I needed it because my safety was worth way more than $3,000. I made the appointment for Thursday afternoon and tried to focus on work for the rest of the day. Thursday came and I drove to Courtney's office in a building downtown near the courthouse. Her office was small but professional, with law books lining the walls and case files stacked on her desk. She was probably in her late 40s with short gray hair and a no-nonsense way of talking that made me feel like she'd seen this situation 100 times before. I handed her the folder I'd been keeping with all my documentation. Screenshots of messages, the fake email to my work, timeline of events, notes from conversations. She spent 20 minutes reading through everything while I sat there picking at my fingernail. When she finally looked up, she told me I had solid grounds for a restraining order based on the pattern of contact, workplace interference, and escalating behavior. She explained the process and how long it would take. Then she warned me that filing might make Ryan angrier before it made things better. Some people see a restraining order as a challenge or proof that they're losing control. I asked if that meant I shouldn't do it, and she said no. It meant I should be prepared and document any violations immediately. I spent that weekend sitting in my apartment thinking about whether to move forward with legal action. Part of me wanted to just ignore Ryan and hope he'd get bored and stop. But another part knew that hoping wasn't a strategy, and he'd already proven he wouldn't stop on his own. Saturday night, my sister called to check on me. I told her about meeting with Courtney and my hesitation about making this more public and official. My sister got quiet for a second, then told me that staying silent never makes bullies stop. They just keep pushing until someone pushes back. She reminded me that Ryan was already making it public by contacting my workplace and posting on social media. I was just making it official in a way that would actually protect me. After we hung up, I knew she was right. I texted Courtney that I wanted to move forward with the restraining order. Monday morning, I woke up to a notification on my phone. Someone had tagged me in a LinkedIn post. I opened the app and felt my whole body go cold. Ryan had created a fake profile using the name Daniel Webb and claiming to be a former colleague from a research position I'd held 4 years ago. The profile looked real with a professional photo he must have pulled from somewhere and a detailed work history. Daniel Webb had posted a review of me saying I was unethical and difficult to work with, that I cut corners on research protocols and created hostile work environments. The profile included specific details about projects I'd worked on that only Ryan would know because I'd told him about them. Details about a disagreement I'd had with a former supervisor and a trial that got delayed due to enrollment issues. He'd twisted everything to make me sound incompetent and dangerous. My hands were shaking as I screenshot everything. The profile, the post, the details he'd included. I reported the fake profile to LinkedIn immediately with a detailed explanation and all my screenshots. Then I forwarded everything to Courtney with a message explaining what I'd found. She responded within an hour saying this strengthened our case significantly. It showed deliberate professional sabotage and proved Ryan was actively trying to damage my career and reputation. She asked me to document any responses or shares the post got before LinkedIn took it down. I spent my lunch break doing exactly that, feeling sick to my stomach the whole time. By end of day, LinkedIn had removed the profile and the post, but I had everything saved in multiple places. Wednesday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. I almost deleted it thinking it was spam, but something made me open it. The message said he just wanted closure and one conversation, that he deserved a chance to explain his side, and I was being unfair by shutting him out completely. I knew immediately it was Ryan even though he didn't sign it. I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Courtney with a note about him somehow getting my new number. She replied quickly telling me that not engaging was exactly right. Any response would just encourage him and show that this method of contact worked. She added the text to our evidence file. That weekend, my parents drove up to visit me. They'd been worried since I told them about everything happening with Ryan. We went to dinner at an Italian place near my apartment, and my dad finally said what he'd apparently been thinking for months. He never liked Ryan and always thought Ryan was intimidated by me.